Check out how wild this story starts. The first person to face trial for the brutal assassination of rapper Fulio was this woman named Alicia Andrews. The moment her trial started, she was sitting there, putting on makeup, smiling, and laughing. It was pure disrespect. She was acting like she was about to step out for a night at the club, not facing a murder charge for setting up a savage hit. But nobody had any idea just how messy and completely insane the court case was about to get. The prosecution immediately threw down the hammer, detailing the calculated ambush on Fulio. They explained how the shooter crew stalked him on his own birthday, setting up a terrifying ambush. They weren't using little pistols, they were using rifles, the kind with modified switches to ensure Fulio didn't have a prayer of making it out alive. Imagine that barrage of high-powered rounds flooding the dark early morning street with bright muzzle flashes and booming concussions. Fulio was completely overwhelmed. Now, Alicia Andrews wasn't the one who actually pulled the trigger, but she was charged with murder because the state proved she was essential in setting up the entire trap. She was the eyes on the ground. And here's the absolute wildest part of the whole tragedy. Alicia Andrews was pregnant with her boyfriend's child when she went on this reckless crash out mission, and she actually ended up delivering that baby while she was locked up awaiting trial. This wasn't some random street fight. Fulio, a rising figure in the Florida rap scene, had been a central figure in a dangerous years-long war between his crew, 6 Block, and rivals ATK/1200. His music was fire, but his lyrics were known for being aggressive and disrespectful toward the opposition. The heat on his head was massive, and he was always a prime target. So the hit crew knew exactly who they were after. Alicia and her boyfriend, Isaiah Chance, were the dedicated spotters, acting as the eyes for the execution team. They were glued to Fulio, tracking his every move around Tampa and feeding the location details to the in real time. This mission was personal and intense. The trap sprung when Alicia and Isaiah spotted Fulio kicking back outside a hotel. He was relaxing in the passenger seat of his car with his feet up on the dash, completely unaware of the threat closing in. Within seconds, the shooters rolled up and unleashed a terrifying storm of gunfire. When you see photos of Fulio's car afterward, it looks completely annihilated. There was no chance of survival. One of the high-powered 5.56 rounds went straight through his chest, piercing his heart, but he was still trying to scramble into the back seat when he caught more shots. Now, while the actual ambush was messy, the planning was meticulous and went way back. Alicia's critical role wasn't just spotting him, she helped secure the Airbnb in Tampa for the entire hit crew. Without her setting up that safe base of operations, the whole mission would have fallen apart. She was indispensable to the entire conspiracy, and that's why she was facing a murder charge. Now, this crew was putting in serious work to catch Fulio lacking, but what's absolutely wild is how incredibly stupid and reckless they were on the crash out. They acted like the police weren't gonna look at their phones. They left a digital paper trail so obvious, it's honestly embarrassing. Cops didn't even have to dig that deep. They found security footage at one of the own homes showing Isaiah Chance and another Sean Gatright loading huge bags, presumably packed with weapons and supplies, into their cars before they drove down to Tampa. Every single move they made across state lines from Jacksonville to Tampa was tracked by license plate readers and cell phone tower pings, confirming the entire travel itinerary of the murder crew. These guys were caught on camera everywhere they went. And Alicia, the supposed innocent girlfriend on a weekend trip, she was specifically spotted on camera rolling into a McDonald's in Tampa just a few hours before the hit went down. That McDonald's run became another clear piece of evidence, proving she was right there, active, and fully involved in the conspiracy. But the real smoking gun was the phones themselves. The shooters were so sloppy, they were texting their homies photos of the burner phone they bought specifically for the hit. Even worse, they had undated pictures of the actual assault rifles they used to spray Fulio's car. They literally committed a murder and forgot to delete the weapons evidence. Then you get to Alicia's most damning action. She sent her live location directly to the car packed with shooters just minutes before the murder. Think about that. She was the GPS, the human target marker, confirming exactly where they needed to pull up for the execution. With that kind of digital record, videos, texts, and live location sharing, the prosecution knew they had the whole crew completely cooked. But even with all this evidence stacked against her, Alicia's defense team walked into court with a huge lie. What happened next would shock the entire courtroom. The trial kicked off with Alicia's lawyer trying to sell the most unbelievable story ever. The claim was that she was completely innocent. just on a fun weekend getaway with her boyfriend Isaiah Chance, and had absolutely no idea they were in Tampa to carry out an assassination. It was clear from the jump that Alicia's story was pure nonsense, but nobody expected the state to crush her so swiftly and completely. The first witness set the stage for how deep the connections went. It was a woman who was hanging out with Fulio's crew that night and narrowly escaped the shooting, only because she went inside the hotel to use the bathroom. But here was the twist nobody saw coming. This same witness used to date one of Young and Ace's brothers, Trayvon, who got killed in the middle of this entire war. She witnessed Trayvon get killed right in front of Ace, and later she ended up chilling with Fulio's side. It just showed how deeply intertwined the street beef and personal drama really was. But the moment the trial truly went sideways for Alicia was when her own best friend took the stand. Yes, her homie switched up on her and proved Alicia was completely lying about not knowing the street war. The prosecutors brought out savage text messages Alicia sent to her friend back in 2021, where she was literally demanding retaliation. She was texting that 1200 and ATK needed to be sliding and killing more of their ops. She told her friend to go retaliate or something instead of just rapping about it, proving she was aware of the gang conflict's highest level of activity. Then they dropped the ultimate bombshell text from 2021 where Alicia made her personal feelings crystal clear about the target. She texted her friend saying she couldn't stand Fulio, calling him an ugly a-hole, and flat out saying he need to die. This proved she wasn't just some oblivious girlfriend. She was emotionally invested in the war because a close friend of hers had been killed in the conflict. Her own best friend completely cooked her on the stand with those messages. The defense was in ruins, but the state wasn't done yet. They needed to prove this wasn't just anger, but a long-planned, cold-blooded conspiracy. The prosecution knew that those text messages were damning, but to lock in the murder charge, they had to prove this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. They brought in the gang detective, the expert to testify and air out the whole bloody history between Fulio's 6-block crew and the ATK side. The goal was simple: prove this was a pre-planned execution resulting from a years-long war of attrition, and the detective completely obliterated the defense's claims of innocence. They proved that Alicia knew every single person involved in the conflict, even if she wasn't rapping or dropping diss tracks herself. The detective revealed that ATK had actually tried to take Fulio out multiple times before this final successful hit. This wasn't even the first time the main shooter got a shot off. Sean Gatright, one of the shooters who killed Fulio in Tampa, had actually shot Fulio in the foot a whole year earlier. That's proof that the target was constant. Then they brought up the wild incident in Houston where ATK caught Fulio lacking and almost shot him in the head. They used Fast Money Goon's own lyrics from the track Who I Smoke as evidence, where he raps about that Houston attempt saying, "I was lurking on his page and I caught him lacking in Houston. We let off shots. He got shot and went live. I was squeaking like, man, that ish ain't died." The lyrics confirmed the intent, the location, and their failure to kill him previously. Then the state hammered it home by showing Fulio's own music videos where he was relentlessly dissing their members, making himself a prime target for retaliation. They even used Young and Ace's lyrics from the track Game Over, which dropped right after the murder, where Ace rapped about the hit. 556 increased the murder rate. Another body on the way. Mask on, get up close. This another closed case. Don Fulio shots to the face. Dead on the floor, dead on arrival. Mr. Six. The evidence was clear. This was revenge, planned and documented in their own music. The long-standing motive was established. Now the state just had to connect Alicia to the final moments of the ambush. The defense was trying desperately to claim that Alicia was just some naive girlfriend who didn't really know who her boyfriend's friends were, but the state slammed that door shut with the final batch of evidence pulled directly from her cell phone. First, the cops found photos on Alicia's phone that were taken right outside one of the clubs Fulio attended just hours before he was killed. This wasn't some casual vacation. She was actively scouting the target for the crew. This proves she was hunting him down. Second, the state proved she was deeply tapped in with the entire ATK circle. Her phone contained direct messages, DMs with other high-ranking ATK members, including ATK Key. She was even communicating with K Shorty, an old associate of Fulio's, proving she knew exactly what was going down in the streets and who the players were. She was deep in the war's communication network. Finally, the state brought in the most chilling text of the entire trial. Rashad Murphy, one of the shooters, used Sean Gatright's phone right after the murder to text someone, and the message read, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. I love you, Murphy." That savage text confirmed the murder was a planned retaliation that satisfied their deep hunger for revenge. With the location pings, the club photos, the gang DMs, and this post-murder bragging, it was looking completely obvious that Alicia was cooked. By this point, Alicia's defense team knew they had lost the argument that she was an innocent tourist, so they tried one last desperate strategy switch, throwing her boyfriend Isaiah Chance straight under the bus. The strategy was to frame Alicia as a victim who was forced to comply. She testified that Isaiah Chance was abused, and they showed the jury hard-to-look at photos of her bruised face after he had allegedly put hands on her. She claimed that during the hit on Fulio she was terrified of Isaiah, which is why she let him use her phone for the tracking and location sharing, because she was simply too afraid to say no. This emotional play didn't work to absolve her, but it did expose the relationship dynamics. The detectives during her initial police interview had even warned her that Isaiah was only using her. We see the chilling moment where the detective tells her straight up, "If you think your boyfriend loves you, your boyfriend used you in this." The detective then laid out the cold reality. If she stayed silent, she was facing life in prison. But even with the evidence piling up and the detective spelling out her fate, she refused to flip on Isaiah Chance, desperately trying to protect the father of her child. It was a tragic mix of loyalty and fear. But despite the clear evidence of abuse, the question remained, did her fear change her guilt in the murder? The jury was about to deliver a truly shocking verdict. After weeks of testimony detailing burner phones, best friend betrayal, live location drops, and 3 failed attempts on Fulio's life, the jury finally delivered a stunning, complex verdict. Despite the overwhelming evidence that Alicia was a lookout and coordinator, the jury actually found her not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, but they did find her guilty of manslaughter. This was a massive break for Alicia. While the state completely cooked her with text messages and digital evidence, the manslaughter conviction saved her from a devastating life sentence. Manslaughter in Florida carries a 15-year maximum sentence, but that doesn't mean she's walking free anytime soon. Fulio's mother, who sat through the entire painful trial, made it clear immediately that she was not done fighting. She went on record saying she was writing a powerful victim impact statement for the judge, demanding Alicia get the maximum sentence plus an additional 10 years on top of that. That's 15 years plus 10. The judge has the power to add extra time, and Fulio's mom is clearly aiming for the absolute most time possible to ensure justice for her son. So Alicia Andrews got off relatively easy compared to the death penalty or life in prison, but she could still end up doing decades behind bars, separated from the baby she had while incarcerated. The situation is looking way worse for Isaiah Chance and the actual shooters who killed Fulio. They are all going to trial in 2026, and after seeing the amount of digital evidence the state already has, there's no telling what kind of devastating new evidence the prosecution is going to bring against them.